We begin today the final Perek of Masechta Gittin, Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, Perek Chi, on Daf Pei Beis Amud Aleph. Zok Teilige Mishnah. Hamagarish Asishtoi, a person divorces his wife. V'amalani tells her, Harei at muteres l'chol adam, you mutter to get married to anyone, Ella l'ploini, but to ploini. Now this term of Ella is going to be a discussion in the Gemara, what exactly Ella means, but that's what he said. Rabbi Eliezer matter. Rabbi Eliezer says, even if you said this, she's divorced, she's mutter. The Chachamim oisrim. Chachamim say that this gerushin does not take effect, she's still an Eishes Ish. So Keitzad Yasa, according to the Chachamim, what do? Yitlane Mena, the husband has to take back the get, V'yachzer v'yitnenela, has to give it again to her, V'yaimela, and he should say, Harei muteres l'chol adam, you're mutter to anybody without adding any the Ella that he added before. But what's if you wrote this condition into the get itself? So now the get itself is puzzle. Even if he erases that line, puzzle. You can't give it back, you can't use this get over again. So the Shaila was asked, how do we understand the statement this person said? And then he says, Ella l'ploini. What does the word Ella here mean? Hi Ella chutzu. Does the word Ella mean that he's saying to her that I'm divorcing you, you can get married to anybody besides one person? That's what he meant to say. So he's basically leaving over here and saying that the Isser that there was for you to get married to anyone while you're married to me is left over of that Isser for this individual. Or no, it's not like a chutz. Al menasu. It's a condition. It's a condition. It's like any other condition that you make in a get. He's saying, I'm being mad to you 100% on the condition that you don't marry this and this person. Okay, so the Gemara explains. Chutz. So who do you say that the Ella here means that he's telling her that you're mutter besides this person? So chutz, only when he says that he's leaving over something from the Issa here, in such a case, who dupliga Rabbanan aleh the Rabbi Eliezer? It's here, and it's because of this that Rabbanan argue in Rabbi Eliezer, because the Hashaya lo beget. He's leaving over an Isser in this get. A get has to be a full krisus. So if you give a get and you're allowing it, you're saying that you're severed from me and you're allowing to get married to anybody, but you're leaving over something, so it's not a get, it's not a krisus. Avol bal menas, but if you would have said that he's making a condition that you don't get married to someone, then maidulei. Then the Chachama would agree to Rabbi Eliezer that this get is kosher. It's no different than any other condition. Just like every other condition, you can set whatever condition you want, even though here the condition consists of this, that you won't be allowed to marry a person, and the whole idea of the get is to be matter, to get married to anybody, but it doesn't matter. It's not more than any condition. Or maybe the pshat of the Mishnah is different. Al menas hu. When it says in the Mishnah, Ella, it is a condition. And it's only in the case where he said this lashon of Almanas as a condition. That's why Rabbi Eliezer are arguing in the Rabbanan and saying that it's a condition, so therefore the get is fine. But if it would be chutz, and then you're leaving over some of the Issa here, so then they would agree to the Rabbanan that it's not a good get. The Hashiyah lo beget, he's leaving over a certain aspect of the Issa even with this get, so it's not a proper krisus. That's the shaila here. Okay, so we'll see more on Amud Beis. The Gemara will explain that regarding both of these Eifanim that we have to explain the Mishnah, we have to understand both the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer and the opinion of the Chachamim. We'll see more about it in Amud Beis. But meanwhile, the Gemara here brings a raya to what the correct pshat of the Mishnah is. So Amar Ravina says, this term Ella we find in another Mishnah. Tashama, the Mishnah says as follows: Kol habatim mitamim b'negoyim. All houses become tamei with a nega. Ella shel oivdei kechavim. But the house of a guy. Now when it says here this term of Ella, but the house of a guy, what does Ella mean? Hey, if you're going to say the pshat we said before regarding Ella, that Ella means chutz, besides the house of a guy that doesn't become possible with or tamei with a nega. So then shaper, that makes perfect sense. But al menasu, if you're going to say that the term Ella means a condition, so over here as well it means a condition. Well, how are you going to translate it? Al menas the loy mitama oivde kechavim hu de mitama bata Yisrael. Only on the condition that the house of Goyim should not become tamei, that's when the house of a Yid becomes tamei. But if the house of a guy would become tamei, then the house of a Yid does not become tamei. It makes no sense to say that Ella here means a condition. Void, besides that, is there ever such a thing that a house of a guy that has a neg on it becomes tamei? There's no such a thing, because Tanya, we learned in a brayso that says, "V'nasati nega tzaras bebeis eretz achuzaschem." So from this we learned eretz achuzaschem mitame b'negoim, that only in the land of your inheritance, it's your house, that's where it becomes tamei with a nega. But vein b'tev gechav mitame b'negoim. There's no negoim by the house of a guy. So over there, the word Ella, it's clear that the word Ella means besides the house of a guy. So Ella, shmamina, chutz. So we have a clear ayah from here that the term Ella means chutz. And that's what a Mishnah means here. There was no condition. He gives her a get and tells her that you mutter to everybody besides one person. So on that, Chachamim say, there's no get here. He wasn't matter 100%. Rabbi Eliezer still says it is a get. As we'll see in Amud Beis, the Gemara will bring a pasuk, a source for this, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, so the Gemara says, Masnisa and the pshat that we just clarified here in our Mishnah, so it's not following the opinion of this Tana here in a brayso. The Tanya in a brayso we learned, Rabbi Yosef bar Yehuda, Lo nechlekut Rabbi Eliezer v'Chachamim. Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim do not argue ala megarish asishta. If he divorced his wife and Vamalani told her, Arei muteres l'chol adam chutz miploni. When he says you mutter to everyone besides this individual, sheina megareshes. In such a case, even Rabbi Eliezer agrees she's not divorced because you can't leave over in the heter of the get. When did they argue? Al megaresh ishtay v'amalo arei muteres l'chol adam al minas shaleid tinasi leploni. When you say that you will not be allowed to get married to someone, but it's just a condition. Rabbi Eliezer mater l'chol adam chutz me'iseish. Rabbi Eliezer says the get takes effect, and there's a t'nai. She can't get married to that person, because if she'll get married to that person, it breaks the t'nai, and then you don't have a get. But for Chachamim, Oisrim. Chachamim say that because you made this condition, and the condition is not to get married to someone, so then the whole get is not a get. Okay, so the Gemara over here now explains the machlekes between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Meir, according to this, Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim, that is, according to this version that we have here in the brayso, that they're arguing in a case where it's a t'nai, almanas. My time that Rabbi Eliezer, says the Gemara, so what's the reason for Rabbi Eliezer's opinion? Because midi dahave akol t'nai dam. This is no different than any other condition. You can set whatever condition you want for a get, and here as well, even though the condition is not to get married to a certain person, doesn't matter. The get takes effect. But the Rabbanan say this is a different type of condition. Kol t'nai dalme lo shir le beget. Any other condition you make is not a condition that pertains to what the get is coming to accomplish, to be matter to everybody. But over here, since you're making a condition which is going to leave over that there's one person she's still going to be usher to, so even though it's only a condition, but nevertheless it is leaving over a certain isser here in this get. So therefore, even if it's just a t'nai, it's not a get. Okay, that's the explanation of the machlekes according to the Braisa's version that they're arguing regarding almanas. Now, masnis and daikimne bechot, the Mishnah that we said that the term Ella means that he gave her the get and he said you mutter to everyone besides chutz of one person. It's not a condition, but he actually leaves over in the heter of the get. My time in the Rabbi Eliezer. So what's the reason of Rabbi Eliezer that says that the get still takes effect? Rabbi Yanai, Mishum Zaken Echad. Rabbi Yanai said over in the name of a certain Zaken. Amakra, we learn it from the pasuk where it says V'yotza mi beisai v'holcha v'hoisa leish acher. She leaves his home and she goes out and she could get married to a man. What does this mean? Afil la'itira ela leish acher, or another girsa here is leish echad. Even if he gives her the get, and the get is given in such a way where he tells her that you're still going to be yasat to everybody, and you could only get married to one man. As long as there is some heta here that you gave her a get that's being mat to her to marry somebody, the get takes effect. Which basically means, you see here in this pasuk that the chiddush is even more than what it said in the Mishnah. In the Mishnah it said he's being mat to her, to everyone, besides one man where he's answering her. Here from the pasuk you see, even if he's saying, I'm giving you a get, and you still also to get married to anybody, and the heta of this get is only for one man, even then the get takes effect. It says leish acher, only one man. Very big chiddush that Rabbi Eliezer says. Again? Well, she's only going to be mutter to get married to that one man. The get only takes effect for that one man. No, so basically, in the simple pshat of the Gemara, comes out that Rabbi Eliezer does not hold of this concept that a get has to be a full krisus from a previous husband, because the isser of the eshes ish of the previous husband is sort of still remains. The heta is only for one man. So we don't paskin like Rabbi Eliezer, and we had throughout the Masechta many times mentioned that a get has to be a full krisa. So obviously, it seems like Rabbi Eliezer disagrees with that. That's a simple pshat in our Gemara. But there are some achreinim that want to say that the chiddush of Rabbi Eliezer from this pasuk is a bit different. Rabbi Eliezer holds that we sort of have to split it. One thing is her status as an Eishes Ish, that she's connected to this man. Rabbi Eliezer agrees the only way a divorce can take effect is if there's a full krisis that she's disconnected from this man. But then as a result of her being cut off from her husband, there's now a heter to everyone else. So Rabbi Eliezer says that these two things are not necessarily connected to each other. The krisis is a full krisis, but yet the heter to get married to everyone else, it could be just a heter to one person, a heter to everybody besides one person, and even if the heter is not complete, the krisis is independent and the krisis could be complete. That's how Rabbi Eliezer looks at it. Okay, let's continue weiter in the Lashon of the Gemara. The Rabbanon say that there's no raya from the lashon of this pasuk where it says leish acher, because Rabbanon hai ish l'chol ish vish. When it says in the Torah that she becomes mutiv halch v'haisa leish acher, what does leish acher mean? Not just to one man. Leish acher means to any man. That's what it means. Rabbi Yochanan says, the source of Rabbi Eliezer, that even if she's not mutter to everyone, she's still divorced, comes from here. It says, V'isha grusha me'isha lo yikachu. This is regarding a kohen, that a woman that got divorced from her husband, they are not allowed to marry. So from here we learn, it doesn't say just isha grusha, a woman that got divorced. It adds me'isha, she was divorced from her husband. Afilu lo nizgarsha, ela me'isha, even if she only got divorced from her husband, right? And now she's divorced from her husband, but she doesn't have the heter to get married to everybody. Nevertheless, nifsala menakona. She right away becomes, she's already a grusha, and she becomes pasal to kona. Alma have a gittin. So I see that it's a get, even if he didn't allow her to become mutter to everybody. So, but the Rabbanon will tell you from this pasuk here by a kohen that he can't marry this grusha. He can't compare this to every other case of Gedishin. Isser kohona shani. The isser of a kohen marrying a grusha is different, and by a kohen, this isser of marrying a grusha is even if the Gedishin didn't really properly take effect. The Rabbanon hold there's no Gedishin here, but nevertheless there's still a isser for a kohen to marry. And this is a concept I mentioned before we had in the previous blot, and this is what's called reyach haget, when it's something that's like basically a smell of a get. It's sort of a get. This is enough to aser to marry a kohen. Okay, so we have the two versions of this machlokes here, and we have the explanation of the Gemara and all the opinions. Now, the question Rabba asked is, the kiddushin heyach. What's the halacha regarding this, applying it to kiddushin? Yeah, in other words, it's the same thing. A person is mekadesh isha, and he says that tareh mukadeshesli, which usually what happens by kiddushin, she's an eishes ish, she becomes asa to the entire world, but he told her that you're going to be asa to everybody, chutz miploini. So the question is regarding the case of chutz. He says, you're married to me, but chutz to that person that you can still go and get married to. Does it take effect? Hey, what's the halacha? Do we say that the same machlokes applies over here? Says the Gemara, Tibai l'Rabbi Eliezer and Tibai l'Rabbanan. This will be a question according to Rabbi Eliezer and according to the Rabbanan. Tibai l'Rabbi Eliezer, the shaila according to the Rabbi Eliezer is, I can say as follows. At kan le'kama Rabbi Eliezer hacha. The reason why Rabbi Eliezer here says by Gedishin, this chiddush, that even if she's not mutter to everybody, the Gedishin takes effect, elam shum d'chsivi kroi. We brought psukim as a source for this. Aval hasam kinyam al yabina. But maybe when it comes to kiddushin, we don't have these psukim. So you need a full-fledged kinyan, which is fully committed to the husband, and there's no leftover, there's no opening that she can still get married to someone else while she's married to him. Or we could say, according to Rabbi Eliezer, v'yatza v'haisa. We know in the Torah writes the din of kiddushin, which is v'haisa. It writes it right after v'yatza, which is the gedishin. So we compared it to. So the same halacha applies to kiddushin as well. That's the baya according to Rabbi Eliezer. Tibai l'Rabbanan, the same shaila now is according to the Rabbanan. At kan l'kam Rabbanan hacha. When the Rabbanan say over here that you can't leave anything over in a divorce, ela de bein and krisis v'leka, because the Rabbanan hold that krisis means she has to be completely severed from him, and also in such a way included in that krisis is the heter. If there's no absolute heter, then there's no krisis either. Aval hasam kinyan kolduhu. Maybe by kiddushin, there's a svara to say the exact opposite. You don't need a full kinyan. Maybe just any somewhat of a kinyan. There's an effect of a kiddushin. Or we should say that we compare kiddushin to gedishin, and therefore the same halacha that Rabbanan hold by gedishin does apply to kiddushin. That's the Shaila. Basa de Baye, after this question was asked, Hada Pashta Rababa was Pasha de Sibaye, and he said, Bein Rabbi Eliezer, Bein Rabbanan, both according to Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbanan, V'inan v'yatza v'haisa. We learn out the pasuk v'yatza v'haisa to compare whatever the halacha is regarding Gedushin. The same halacha applies regarding Kedushin. Right? Which means that, according to the Rabbanan, just like Gedushin, there's no leaving over a Isser for anyone. So by Kedushin, there's also no such thing. I'm a Kaddish Isha, she's an Eishes Ish, but meanwhile, there's a heter for someone else. Right? But according to Rabbi Eliezer, we see here a tremendous chiddush. Rabbi Eliezer says you can be Mekadesh Isha, she's Mekadesh you, she's 100% an Eishes Ish for everybody in the world. Chutz from one person that you say that she's not an Eishes Ish to him, and she can be Mekabel Kedushin from that person. So now she'll be Mekadeshes to two people at the same time. That's what Rabbi Eliezer is saying here. Okay, so now based on this opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, the Gemara says, Amar Abaye. So Abaye said, Im timtzaloima isa l'derababa. If you're going to say that what Rabbi Abba said is true according to Rabbi Eliezer, so then what would be the halacha in the following case? And here the Gemara is going to discuss how this would play out when it comes to the mitzvah of Yibum. So we learned already in the Gemara in Yevamis, Daf Lamed Aleph, the Gemara there says regarding the mitzvah of Yibum, that only a wife of someone that passed away without children, there's one husband here that passed away, then there's a mitzvah of Yibum. But if her husband passes away and there's a mitzvah of Yibum that comes from two different husbands that passed away, so then there's no mitzvah of Yibum. The example the Gemara gives in Yevamis is when one husband passed away and now there was a mitzvah of Yibum, and a brother did not do the mitzvah of Yibum, but a brother gave her a Kedushin Midrabanan, which is called Maimer. We gave her Kesef, which by Yibum is only Midrabanan. So now she's really connected to two husbands, the first husband that passed away, and the second one that did the Yibum Midrabanan. And then the second one also passes away. Now she has to do Yibum with a third brother. But now the Yibum is sort of coming from two brothers, from two husbands at the same time. From the first one that was never completely removed because they never did a proper Yibum for him. But now there's also a Maimer Midrabanan from the second. So in such a case, there's no Yibum. That was the case the Gemara spoke about in Yevamis. But here the Gemara is going to say that according to Rabbi Eliezer, this can play out over here in a case where she could be married to two people at the same time. And the Gemara explains how. But Reuven, if it was a case where Reuven came and says to a woman, the Kitcha is Mekadesh, and he says, you're married to me and you're asa to everybody in the world, Chutz Mishim. Besides Shimon, you can get married to Shimon. Now, Ba Shimon, so Shimon comes, the Kitcha, and Shimon is Mekadesher. And what does Shimon say? Chutz mi Reuven. That you're Mekudesh to me, which means you're asa to everybody in the world, but there's one person you're not asa to. You're not asa to Reuven. And now both of these husbands, Reuven and Shimon, pass away. That is, Misyabemes LeLevi. So there will be a mitzvah of Yibum for Levi, but I'm not going to apply over here and say that Eishes Shnei Mason, that she is a wife of two husbands that passed away, and therefore in such a case there's no Yibum, as I explained before. My time, but why not? According to Rabbi Eliezer, shouldn't we say that she was the husband of Reuven and Shimon, so therefore there should be no mitzvah of Yibum? The answer is because Kedusha de Reuven, ahana. The Kedushin of Reuven accomplished something. What is Kedushin? Kedushin only takes effect if you're asering her to other people. So when Reuven was Mekadesher, and he asered her on the entire world besides Shimon, it took effect. Kedusha de Shimon lo yahanu. But in this case, the Kedushin of Shimon didn't accomplish anything. Because what did Shimon say? Shimon said that you should be asr on the entire world besides Reuven. The thing is, she's already asr on the entire world through the Kedushin of Reuven. So, and she's mutter to Reuven. So when he said besides Reuven, he didn't add anything. Shimon, by saying that, adds nothing. So his whole Kedushin didn't affect anything. So therefore, she's just married to Reuven, and the Shimon's Kedushin did nothing. But now, Ve'ela, however, in the following case, and here it will play out according to Rabbi, according to the opinion of Eliezer, that she's married to two people. How could it be according to Rabbi Eliezer that she's married to these two people? Reuven is Mekadesher and tells her Chutz Shimon, you're married to me and you also to everyone besides Shimon. And then Ba Shimon the Kitcha Stam. Then Shimon comes along, so Shimon is still allowed to be Mekadesher because there was a Chutz, and Shimon is Mekadesher Stam. So now Shimon's Kedushin also has an effect because Shimon is adding now to the Isser that she's also to Reuven. And so therefore, Kedusha de Reuven ahanu, The Kedushin of Reuven took effect, the Asr on the whole world, L'meisra Alma, the Kedushin of Shimon Ahanu, and then the Kedushin of Shimon also takes effect, L'meisra Reuven, to Asr on Reuven. So if both of them now pass away, Reuven and Shimon pass away, what happens? Now, the mitzvah of Yibum for her, for the third brother, is connected to these two people, or it's for a brother of any of them, is connected to, it's for a woman that was married to two different people. So you can't do Yibum for a woman married to two different people. Okay. Very, very unique, novel opinion here of Rabbi Eliezer, both regarding Kiddushin and regarding Gedushin. Huh? Yeah.